to make sure the defendant is found guilty. What other choice do I have? It's a funny thing for him to lie to his partner about his reasons for breaking in shortly before ending his life. Also, that Bruce Almighty moon is a full moon, but that wouldn't happen until a week after this incident took place. At this point, it should only be first quarter. The prosecutor's office does have security detail, and does she not hear the gunshot? It's been less than an hour since the murder, and Edgeworth's the first to discover it? Really? Detective Gumshoe? What did Edgeworth think Gumshoe would be doing in his office? Remember, this is supposed to be the first time in a month since he entered his office, and it took place pretty quickly after the events of Episode 3. If we keep everything that happened in Episode 3 in mind, what the heck were Edgeworth and Gumshoe doing between the kidnapping and the current murder? What was he hoping to accomplish by shooting the frame down like that? To give Edgeworth a clue as to what the real murderer may have been after? Because I can't just accept warning shot. If you think about it carefully and use logic, it should become clear to you. Logic? I know, games tutorial and all, but surprising how Gumshoe doesn't understand logic when it's one of the signature points of detective work. I don't really like guns all that much. I mean, they're really dangerous. This guy works for the police department, by the way. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. And I won't rest until I've sinned every instance this line appears. Well, I watered the plants every day, just like you requested, sir. I just added cleaning to the list as a weekend special. For about half a day every Saturday, I come in and clean this place until it's sparkled. Does he have a life? Not as long as he keeps getting salary cuts. Use L and R to zoom in and out to get at the nitty-gritty. That's pretty confusing. In Rise from the Ashes and the entirety of Apollo Justice, you use the X and Y buttons for zooming. But here it's L and R? Pick a scheme, Capcom! This gun can be loaded with 5 bullets instead of the traditional 6. Wow, so the killer killed the Vic with just 1 shot after wresting the gun from him. Sounds like the guy knew how to handle a gun, huh, Mr. Edgeworth? Detective, maybe don't say that out loud. Jim! How nice of you to join us in mourning the deceased murderer from the opening cutscene. Also, since we know the guy's name is Buddy Faith, it creates a bit of confusion why he calls the man Jim. I mean, you can learn the reason through optional dialogue, but because it's optional, it'll make those unlucky souls wonder about it even more. And the key to the door was with me the entire time, okay? So the only one who could get in here was me. Wait, that means... I'm not sure what that means. Is it just me, or does it seem like Gumshoe got dumber since the original Phoenix Wright trilogy? Did I say contradiction? He must be rubbing off on me. I'm starting to sound like him. But I have my own methods, and I will conduct this investigation my way. First of all, you've been addressing contradictions for a long time in your career. Second, hard to see it being that surprising since you've just got done standing in for the defense on a case a month ago. Lastly, you talk about conducting your investigation your way, which is mostly true, but then you cross-examine the witnesses the same way Phoenix did. You are the spitting image of Phoenix Wright. Prosecutor's badge, huh? Giving me the option to examine it, is that right? Not that I really need to do any such thing. Making the culprit's motive for breaking and entering theft, I believe. Wait, does that say culprit? What's worse about this error is at the same time, Edgeworth's line has culprit spelled correctly. And by the way, before I get comments about it, I recorded all the footage for the investigations collection before it was updated to correct spelling and grammar errors, so you'll have to excuse me if any errors here have been corrected in the update. Also, why even bother an attempt at opening the safe if there's nothing in it due to the safe being for evidence in an ongoing trial? With Edgeworth out of the country, obviously he would be prosecuting a case that involves a 10-year-old videotape for whatever reason. The blood on the floor is kinda grossing me out. Detective, I don't have the time to deal with your weak stomach right now. But you know I'm no good with blood, sir. You've been a homicide detective for 7 years and you're still not used to seeing blood? Also, I call bullcrap. This is the first time I've heard you complain about blood at the scene. You absolutely should be used to it. The victim leaned against this shelf here after being shot, which suggests that he was standing when he was shot. That means... Wait, what does that mean, sir? It means you need to use your brain every once in a while instead of mine, Detective. Miles Edgeworth would be amazing at CinemaSins. If you are going to accuse Detective Gumshoe of being the culprit, I sincerely hope you have some proof to back it up. Jim's words. They're more than enough, wouldn't you say? Surely you police would realize by now that names written at the scene of the crime is not definitive evidence of anything. Also, how exactly do you think Faith would have been able to do that given the way in which he was wounded by the gunshot? Mr. Edgeworth, what are you gonna do? What I always do in court. I'm going to cross-examine him. No, that's usually the defense attorney's job. Detective Gumshoe, you stole Jim's gun from him and shot him dead. How do you know he didn't just use his own gun to kill the victim and then the victim's gun to shoot down the framed jacket? Don't mind me, I'm just spitballing ideas here until ballistics tests confirm all the details of the case. When the killer went to take the file after murdering your partner, I highly doubt they could have missed the bloody letters written on the spines. It's possible that they could have taken the file before committing the murder. Did he even think about how dumb that sounded? I mean, dude obviously couldn't have known a file would be stolen from the shelf, but a little bit of thought process during a crime scene investigation goes a long way in my way of thinking. Don't do that. Just play the game. If you are not the guilty party, Detective Gumshoe, then the only other person with access to this room is Miss Bird. Dang it, Maggie! This is your third and, as far as I'm concerned, final appearance in the Ace Attorney series, and you're still getting accused of murder! Her intent? From the messed up shelves to the wiped out safe? I'd say thievery. Portsman, being a prosecutor himself, makes the mistake of accusing Maggie of attempted theft by the wiped down secret safe, which is supposed to only be known to prosecutors. That's how you know your culprit has tutorial case disease. This is like a dream where I'm being cross-examined by the Miles Edgeworth. Not exactly a cross-examination, but go nuts, I guess. She was under my supervision back when she was still on the force, sir. One day she got caught up in a murder and things started going downhill, so she quit. In Justice for All, Maggie said she quit the police force. In Trials and Tribulations, she said she was fired from the force. And here we're saying she quit. Pick a lane, Capcom! Don't worry, my whole life has been nothing but a whirlwind of bad luck and failures. Oh geez, it's her life story again. Ms. Bird, I'm afraid there's a flaw in your story. What? No way, pal! I mean, sir. I don't think it's just Gumshoe having a crush on Maggie. I think Maggie might be having those same affections for Gumshoe.
Now then, whose print should also be on this doorknob?
Easy pickings. We know that Portsman and Faith had their prints on the knob, and no reason for Gumshoe to even think of touching it, so the only other person it should have been is Maggie. Where has the time gone? I have doubts about the investigation in the hallway having taken 54 minutes. Also, the body is still there even 3 hours after discovery. By now, the room must be highly contaminated by the decay. I have no idea what sort of harebrained idea you have in mind, but shouldn't it be harebrained as in the tortoise and the hare, and not hair as in, well, hair? Perhaps like Sean Spencer, you've heard it both ways, but hair more accurately reflects the origin of the term. Basically to say someone has the brain of a hare. A dumb bunny, in other words. You say you checked my doorknob for prints? Well, I can readily confess I'd wiped that knob down well. Eh? I'm a little obsessive-compulsive, you see. I didn't want to touch a doorknob that you had touched, which is why I wiped the knob down as soon as I could after you opened the door. After that, it makes perfect sense that only Jim's and my own prints would be on there. Not really. When Maggie went to lock up your office earlier, evidently she had to have touched your knob, but her prints weren't there. If you really wiped down the knob after she touched the door, there shouldn't have been any prints there at all, especially not Faith. By talking about wiping down the knob, aren't you basically confessing the doorknob you wiped was Edgeworth's and not your own? Hey, Edgeworth wasn't saying any of this, so I thought I should say it for him. Mr. Edgeworth, sir, I think we're in trouble. It's just like Mr. Portsman said. The guys down in criminal affairs said they saw him at around 2 a.m. Wouldn't it make more sense for Gumshoe to have checked the alibi while you were cross-examining Portsman and not before you even began? Because evidently, checking the alibi would have to have taken quite a bit of time. We should be out there looking for that thief right now. They might still be nearby. Not anymore. Why would the thief that stole the file hang around the prosecutor's office 3 hours after acquiring what they needed? And what of the evidence he brought? They were things related to yesterday's case. Just 2 items, a gun and a pendant. Yet another sign of tutorial case disease, relying on your opponent having poor memory of the evidence that was obtained. Let's examine this videotape in a little more detail, for the section of the tape that will drive the last nail into his coffin. You make it sound like we'd be checking the contents of the tape rather than the tape itself, where the real evidence is. And the results got back from the lab techs on the tape turned out to be real solid, sir. It was 5:47 a.m. when we're having this discussion, which is 35 minutes after we entered to accuse Mr. Portsman. It was actually a decent estimation up until this point when Gumshoe started talking about lab test results. They really got the results that quickly? Mercurial News sounds like a pretty normal name for a newspaper business, but then we have Speedy Times. Does that mean fast news? It's a location of where the thief put the stolen files! Those words aren't even in English. Does that mean Gumshoe understands the Cadopian language?